What's going on, guys? T-Mart here, and today I am very excited to bring you guys some of the first Titanfall multiplayer gameplay on YouTube. Yes, that's right. So I was one of the few YouTubers lucky enough to be invited out to an EA event a couple of weeks ago out in LA. We played the game a little bit early. We were able to record, so big thank you to EA and Respawn for making that happen. We played for probably about an hour and a half or so. So it was enough to get our feet wet, kind of get affiliated with the game a little bit. And I'm excited to share with you guys some of the gameplay I recorded. So I got a bunch of videos coming out today as well as tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. So make sure you guys keep checking back, keep supporting these videos. Titan punch the crap out of that like button because I got a lot of cool stuff to show you guys. But anyway, in this first video, I just want to kind of give you guys a basic rundown of the multiplayer, what you can expect, the main components, the main things you have to do. We're going to have more videos coming out later that go a little bit more into depth about some of the more complicated subjects, but this is kind of like a basic rundown of everything you need to know, as well as some of my personal opinions about the game so far. So anyway, let's get into this. Now, starting off, there are three main types of players or things you're going to encounter in the multiplayer. There are grunts, pilots, and titans. Now, grunts are AI characters. They're artificial intelligence. They're controlled by the computer. You can never play as them or control them or tell them where to go or anything like that. They're pretty weak. You know, they're ground-based soldiers. They run around the ground. They'll try to shoot you and shoot your titan and things like that, but they don't do much damage and they're pretty easy to kill. Honestly, if I could compare them to another game, they're like minions from League of Legends. You know, the little things that are super easy to kill and are just kind of annoying at times. So really, they don't give you too much of an advantage killing them, but they are there in case you want to farm them, take them out, and kind of use them as a part of your strategy. Now, next up, there are pilots. Now, these pilots are the human players in the game. This is what you control as well as everybody else that's a human in the game controls. And they're basically buffed up versions of grunts. Like, they have a lot more health, a lot more firepower. There's a loadout, you know, type system similar to the create a class of Call of Duty or Battlefield or anything like that, where you get to choose your different types of weapons and equipments and perks and, you know, things like that. We'll actually get into that later, but yeah, there's that, and then also pilots are really unique in that they're super fast. You know, they're on the ground, but they can run around, and there's literally nowhere that they can't get to because of the free running aspect of the game. Like, you have double jumping, you have wall running, you have all kinds of craziness, mantling and grabbing onto ledges and all kinds of cool stuff that's really, really insane, and there's a lot of strategy that goes into it, and you can really easily flank around enemies and get to objectives and things like that. So it's a lot of fun messing around with that stuff. Running on walls is one of the coolest things about this game. But anyway, yeah, those are pilots, and then also there's titans. You know, obviously there are titans. Those are the big 20-foot large robot mech suits that are actually controlled by the pilot. So you know, once you get your Titanfall is what it calls, we'll talk about that later, you call a titan down in, he'll pick you up, put him in the inside of him, and you can move around. The titans have a large amount of health, so it's really hard to take them down, but you can still take them down even as just a regular pilot on the ground. There's a lot of different strategies you can use to do that. And then also, because they have a large amount of health and a large amount of damage, you know, they do a lot of heavy firepower, they're pretty slow. Like, they don't move around very well. I don't think you can jump in any of them. I haven't used all the titans yet, but the ones I've used you can't jump in, which, you know, kind of limits where you can go on the map. And then also, they do have these, like, thrust boosters that you can use to move forward in, like, increments. You can use them as almost like a turbo type thing, or, you know, straight off to the side, but it's really limited to how much you can use it. And overall, these things are pretty easy to hit. You know, they're pretty big targets, but they do have a lot of health, and they do take people out pretty easily. And then also, because they're large robots, you can actually run over enemy grunts and pilots on the ground and step on them and flatten them. You don't even have to shoot them with your rockets or your weapons or anything like that, which is pretty crazy. Now, next up, moving into how the game plays. Well, in every game, you basically have two objectives. So you've got your main objective, which is the game type, which is what you're trying to win. So so far I've seen three game types in this game. There's attrition, which is basically TDM, kill anything on the enemy team to earn points towards victory. Obviously, the harder thing you kill, the more points you get. Killing a grunt is not going to get you as much as killing a titan will. Now, next up, there's hardpoint, which is pretty much domination. You know, there are 3 points, A, B, and C, that you want to capture and hold. The more points that you hold, the faster you're going to win. So again, that's exactly like domination. Then finally, there's last titan standing, which is where everybody spawns in right at the start of the map with a titan, and the goal is to eliminate all the enemy titans. The team with the last titan standing is the one that wins. So it's basically like a search and destroy, you know, no respawn game type mixed with TDM, because there's no true objective in there. So those are the 3 game modes, and your main objective is going to be to try to do whatever you have to do to win that game mode. You know, get kills, you know, take objectives, whatever it may be. So that's your main objective, but then also the second objective that you always have in Titanfall is to get your Titanfall. So Titanfall is what it's called when you earn your Titan that shoots down out of the sky and will pick you up and allow you to go around and, you know, use this giant robot to destroy stuff. So The way I think it works, I'm not exactly sure if it changes by game mode or anything like that, but what I noticed is it seems like every 4 minutes you get to call in a Titan. You wait 4 minutes, it's down the bottom right hand of the screen, you can see the countdown timer, and once that 4 minutes is up, you're going to call in your Titan with down the D-pad, he comes in, and you can do your thing. Now, you don't have to wait that full 4 minutes though, you can make that 4 minutes go faster by doing good things in the game, getting kills on grunts, getting kills on pilots, getting kills on titans, capturing objectives, doing whatever you need to do. So when you actually, play the game and play well, get kills, do objectives, you make that 4 minutes go faster and you take time off. So really, you could get a Titan in like 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes, 1.5, whatever it may be. So that's pretty cool. And obviously you want to be in the Titan as much as you can because it gives you a big advantage both in terms of health and in terms of firepower. So that's a good thing. Now, because there are like 2 different objectives going on, whatever it takes to win as well as fighting for your Titan, that creates a lot of different strategy that you can employ into this game. Like, no game is ever the same. Even though you're playing the same mode, it never ends up the same because you're getting your Titan at different times, your teammates are getting their Titans at different times, and the enemies are getting their Titans at different times. So there's a lot of things that you have to think about, and there's a lot of strategy and really a pretty big skill gap that goes in this game, thinking about when you want to play the objective or when you want to go for your Titan so you can play the objective better. And it's constantly changing, which is a lot of fun, and it really it changes the game types up and it keeps it really fresh. So that's definitely a good thing. Now next up, the next thing I want to talk about is customization, because there is quite a bit of it both in terms of cosmetics and practical stuff. For your soldier, you've got a lot of stuff you can change, on your pilot here. So you got your primary weapon, your anti-Titan weapon, your secondary weapon, your tactical ability, which is kind of like almost a superpower type thing. The one I like the best so far is Cloak, which makes you invisible to most Titans when you activate it by like RB or something like that. That's pretty good. There's also ordinances, which are like equipment, frag grenades, things like that. There are tier 1 and tier 2 kits, which are essentially perks. They boost your soldier in some way. And you can also change the gender of your soldier. I don't think you can change the way he looks. I think your soldier looks like however the first person or the first primary weapon is. It's kind of like back in COD 4, there was like an assault rifle look to a soldier, and there's an SMG look to a soldier, and a sniper look to a soldier, things like that. So I think it's affected by what your primary weapon is. I don't think you can change like his head and his body and things like that like you can in Ghosts or something like that. Now, next up, for your Titans, there's a lot of customization here as well. You can change the chassis of the Titan, which is basically, I believe it's primarily the balance between armor and maneuverability. So like the more armor you have, the less maneuverability you have. So there's like a heavy armor, a medium armor, and a light armor. There's also primary weapons you can change. There's all kinds of different weapons. We'll get into those later. I actually got a video coming out today. There are tactical abilities as well, kind of like the pilots had. There are ordinances as well. And then finally, there are also kits, tier 1 and tier 2 kits, which again are basically perks. So yeah, there are so many different combinations you can have. I've only played like the first 12 levels of the beta, so that's not really much that I got to unlock. I'm sure there's a lot more out there, but so far there was already a ton of different combinations you can make and a bunch of different ways you can approach the game. And like I said, there's a lot of strategy to be implemented. Now, for the last part of this video, I just want to give you guys kind of like my initial thoughts and what I think so far in the game. Granted, I have only played for 2 hours. That's still more than what most people have played, so I want to let you guys know what I'm thinking so far, because I have been pretty impressed. So first up, it's very innovative. It's just a lot of fun. We haven't really seen things like this before. We have seen first-person shooters before. We have seen futuristic settings before. We have seen mech Titan games before, but we've never seen it all combined. We've never seen a free-running aspect built into a game like this. Seriously, it feels like Mirror's Edge at times. Like there's a heavy stress on free-running, and the people that are good and know the maps well and know those lines to get around behind enemies and things like that, they're gonna have a huge advantage, and that's definitely a good thing. So that's really cool. The balance of being a pilot versus being a Titan versus taking out grunts versus going for the objective and all the things that go on constantly is craziness. It's almost hard to keep up with at times. You really got to know your stuff, and you're really gonna have to invest a lot of time in this game if you want to know everything. That's a good thing. Overall, there's a lot of new stuff in this game. A lot of stuff we've seen before, but it's mixed together in new ways. And overall, it's super deep and super innovative. So that's a good thing. Also, so far, I think it's pretty well balanced. This is another super good thing about the game. Now, granted, I haven't played it much. There haven't been millions of 12-year-olds with their hands on the controller. I'm sure there will be some overpowered things and some glitches and things like that. But so far, I've never really had that moment where it's like, oh, that was bullshit. I shouldn't have died. It's always like, hey, he was smarter than me, or he was in a Titan, I was only a pilot, whatever it may be. So that's pretty good. And it also seems like the guns are pretty well balanced as well. There's a good mix of, like I said, assault rifles, snipers, shotguns. There's something called the smart pistol, which I got a video coming out today that's really cool, and something we've never seen before. And there's all kinds of stuff, so that's pretty good. All this kind of mixes together to the third good point I've got so far, is there's going to be a skill gap. Like, somebody that just picks up the game is going to be nowhere as good as somebody who's put their time into the game, and there's nothing that I like more than that. I want to be rewarded for, you know, grinding it out and, you know, kind of perfecting my skill and honing my craft and things like that. Like, I want to have a big advantage over people that have never played before, and I don't want connection to be a main determiner and who wins, you know, whatever gunfight and things like that. So it's pretty cool. I think there will be a pretty big skill gap, and that's obviously a good thing. Now, next up, the last thing I want to say that I think is really good about this game is, you know, there is going to be a skill gap, and it is going to be competitive, and it is going to be fun to try to do your best and you know, beat teams into the ground and make them leave lobbies and get high KDs and things like that. It also seems like a game that's fun to just pick up and mess around in. Like, it seems like there's a lot more to it than just going after enemies, you know, with all the free running and all the different objectives and all the different ways that you can approach the game and all the different ways you can play it. It seems like there's a lot more to it than just trying to have your try-hard pants on all the time and always trying to do your best. You can also just sit down, relax, chill out, and have fun with it, and that's obviously a good thing. Now, next up for the bad stuff, what do I not like so far? Well, first and foremost, the biggest flaw in this game is its single platform. It's only going to be out for the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, the PC, which is awful. That's alienating half of the community. All PlayStation guys are screwed and will not be able to enjoy this game, which really stinks, and I'm super upset about that. Hopefully Titanfall 2 will be cross-platform. We'll have to wait and see, but that's the main bad thing about this game. Next up, game mode diversity. I would like to see a lot more game modes, both in terms of things we've seen before, like, you know, CTF, search and destroy type games, you know, things like that, but then also new games. Like, this is an entirely new genre of game we haven't seen before. Pilots and Titans and futuristic warfare and things like that. Like, I want to see totally new game modes we haven't heard of before. So far, the 3 game modes I've played are Team Deathmatch, Domination, and a mix of search and destroy and TDM. That's like, we've had those for so long now. I want to see new stuff, and I'm sure they will have new stuff coming out. Granted, this is, you know, it's just the beta. You got to keep in mind that they aren't going to throw all of this at us so far. I'm sure there's more game modes we haven't seen yet, but I would definitely like to see a bigger kind of, you know, mix of game modes in the game. Now, the third bad thing about this game that I don't really like, and it's not going to affect most people, but I don't like that they don't have it, is that there's no campaign. Like, I typically like campaigns. I like the story mode behind things. I like following the characters and knowing what's going on and kind of tying into the multiplayer and things like that. There's no campaign in this game. It's multiplayer only, which is a bad thing, but it's also a good thing as well, because that means they're focusing solely on the multiplayer, which will make the multiplayer better. So, I don't know. I would like to see a campaign, but unfortunately there's not one. There is some game mode that's like a campaign multiplayer mix, like I don't know if it's a co-op type thing or what, but there's no like solid 8 to 10 hour campaign of, you know, solely single player that you can play. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, those are pretty much the only bad things so far, which really are not that bad. Granted, there will probably be some more bad things that come out. I'm sure there's going to be some overpowered weapons. I'm sure there are going to be some glitches and some problems and things like that, as with all games. But so far, I haven't noticed too many bad things. Like, I played it for a solid 2 hours. I wasn't bored once. I was having, I don't want to say the time of my life, but I was having a really good time. I was enjoying that video game more than I've enjoyed a lot of other video games in a long time. So it's definitely very good, and I definitely think that Titanfall has a very bright future. Now, is it the COD killer? That's the question everybody wants to ask. No, it's not. First and foremost, because it's single platform, it's not going to kill COD if it gets rid of half the community. So that's not going to happen. And also, I hate how people constantly try to compare Titanfall to Call of Duty, because it's not really the same game at all. Just like Call of Duty and Battlefield are totally different. Battlefield is a lot more realistic. There's more emphasis on bigger maps and vehicles and things like that. Call of Duty is nowhere near Titanfall. Titanfall has 20-foot robots, crazy weapons and shields that suck in bullets and throw them back at you, and all kinds of like rocket launchers and craziness. It's not going to kill Call of Duty because it's not the same game. They both can be there. They both can exist. They both can hold hands and be great games together. That's what's going to happen. You know, Battlefield is going to be a great game. Call of Duty is going to be a great game. And Titanfall is going to be a great game. There's no reason to try to choose one or the other. Let's just be happy that Titanfall is now thrown into the mix. We have another really good first-person shooter that will hopefully be around for a while. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this kind of cleared some things up, because Titanfall is a very interesting game. We're gonna have more videos coming out later today, tomorrow, and throughout the week, kind of going more into depth about the game mode, some of the weapons, some of the other kind of, you know, parts of this game that are a little bit more difficult to explain in an overview video. But hopefully this kind of cleared up some questions you may have had, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, bunch of great videos coming soon, so make sure you guys keep checking back. Check out one of the other 2 videos you haven't seen yet. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.